Okay, so we're diving deep into plant-based diets today.
Yeah, looks like you sent a ton of articles and studies my way.
I really am fascinated by this whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, everything from veganism to just cutting back on meat a little.
And it seems like you want to explore it all.
Yeah, the health benefits, the environmental impact, even what the future holds for this movement.
Well, it's a pretty hot topic right now.
It really is.
What I find really interesting is you've got sources in here covering all sorts of different perspectives.
Right.
From people who are like, veganism is the only way, to some more cautious folks who point out potential downsides too.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting.
For sure.
You know, one of the articles from The Lancet really grabbed my attention.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
The one talking about how plant-based diets can reduce the risk of heart disease
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
by up to 30%.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is.
I mean, if you can lower your risk like that by changing what you eat,
Right.
that's pretty powerful.
And they were attributing that to the fiber in plant-based foods, right?
Yeah, fiber's really good for regulating cholesterol and just keeping your heart healthy overall.
Makes sense.
I'm curious, though, did you see that study about cattle farming and deforestation?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That one was pretty intense.
It was. It really showed how beef production impacts the Amazon rainforest.
It's not just the trees, though.
Right.
All those cows need a ton of water, too.
One of the studies said that cutting back on meat by even 20%
Yeah,
could save billions of gallons of water every year.
that's wild.
It is wild.
Right.
But some sources are saying plant-based diets might not be nutritionally complete.
Yeah, that's a common concern.
What did the research say about that?
Well, certain nutrients can be trickier to get on a plant-based diet,
Like what?
especially vitamin B12. It's mostly found in animal products.
Right.
But your research actually offered some good solutions for that,
Oh, yeah? Like what?
like fortified foods,
Okay.
things like cereals and plant-based milks.
They often have B12 added in.
Exactly. And then there's also, one of your sources talked about a company making algae-based omega-3 supplements.
Oh, wow. Algae-based omega-3s. That's interesting.
It is. It seems like companies are getting really creative in addressing these potential deficiencies.
Yeah, they're coming up with some pretty innovative stuff.
Speaking of innovation, what about those plant-based meat alternatives?
Yeah, Impossible Foods, Beyond Meat, all those.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on them?
I think it's amazing how they're using science to make plant-based food that tastes and feels like meat.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Totally. That whole thing with the soy legumoglobin,
Yeah.
creating a burger that bleeds but that there's no actual blood.
It's really fascinating stuff.
It is, and it seems like it's catching on.
Yeah.
I mean, even Burger King and McDonald's are offering plant-based burgers now.
Yeah, it's a sign that things are changing.
Big time. But what about the long-term sustainability of plant-based diets?
Oh, yeah, good point.
If everyone suddenly went vegan,
Yeah.
could the planet actually handle it?
That's the million-dollar question, and researchers are definitely looking into it.
Makes sense.
One of the sources you sent a report from the World Resources Institute.
Huh?
It said that a global shift to plant-based diets would require some big changes
Oh, what?
to our agricultural systems.
Interesting.
We'd need to make sure we could produce enough food for everyone.
So it's not just about individual choices then?
Right. It's also about bigger systemic change.
I see.
And that's where things get really tricky.
Right.
You even sent an article about lab-grown meat.
Oh, yeah. That's another whole thing.
It could be a solution, but it brings up a whole new set of questions.
Definitely. So the future of food is still pretty uncertain, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
We've got plant-based diets on the rise, lab-grown meat on the horizon, and all these discussions about sustainability and ethics.
It's a lot to think about.
Well, you've done a great job diving into all these sources.
Thanks.
Now I'm curious, what do you think?
About what?
How do you see all these different trends coming together or maybe clashing in the future? And what role do you want to play in all of this?
That's a really good question.
I think it's something we all need to be thinking about.
I agree.
Food is such a fundamental part of our lives.
It really is.
And the choices we make about what we eat,
Yeah,
they have a ripple effect on the whole planet.
that's a great point.
So it's worth taking the time to really understand these issues.
Absolutely. Thanks for helping me unpack all of this.
It was my pleasure.
I think this is going to give our listeners a lot to think about.
I hope so.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.